Wade Buck, Boba Fett, General Otto, Tia and Gia, Aura Singh, Quagga, Tonto Screech, Hugris, Witten.
Hey, que bueno mi personas. Welcome to a all-new CUjO Fett, a weekly culture-friendly live stream where I talk with friends, foes, and just simple folks trying to make their way through the universe, you know. What do we talk about? Generally the Fett, but not limited to. Of course, we like to relax like everybody, talk some fiction, talk some actors, speculate, drop philosophy. You know, there's room for everything in Star Wars. And who knows, I might ad-lib, but I probably won't drop too much commentary. I will say this, though. I want to say some actress, and cheers. What am I drinking? Thank you for asking. You know I only drink Bing up in CUjO Fett, bottled in Colorado, all juice, energy drink, so I can focus on our important guest coming up. Cheers. I am once again bouncing around my apartment here in Colorado Springs. So if there's lag, apologies, but hey, cheers to life. Through my early CUjO Fets, I've been talking to longtime friends, internet acquaintances. Tonight I'm talking to an artist whom I've enjoyed his work in the pixel art field for many years on his timeline. And in a spontaneous sense, we were talking about this next chapter of CUjO Fett, and I commissioned some, pardon me, pixel art for these beautiful thumbnails. Cheers. And I asked him if he wanted to drop in. You know, it's kind of a nice precedent to maybe have the artist on first that does the thumbnails. Why not? Anyway, we'll get to him in a second. But I did want to do what I've done previously, which is say, you know, why does the book of Boba Fett work for CUjO Fett? So let's not waste any time. Let's get to it. You know, I have been talking the actors that bring the book of Boba Fett to life. You remember I mentioned Ming-Na Wen, a sci-fi legend, been in the game since as long I've been enjoying sci-fi. Let's not forget, she was on screen with Prime, Jean-Claude Van Damme, whom we all know was very unmanageable. So hey, she's seen it, she's done it. I'd love to chat with her sometime. Cheers. We talked about the heart of Danny Trejo, what he brought to the Rancor. You can't undersell a dude who turns up with family on the biggest stage in the world. And of course, I talked about Matt Berry, who's in his limited role as the smelter droid. Was not bad, did not shine, but the fact that he turned up for Fett makes the book good. This week, or this batch of 3 CUjO Fets, I kind of wanted to take a scene and maybe recontextualize. I'm going to play a scene. You know exactly what the scene is, and let's chat it. That is the character known as Scad, doing a 360 spin before he shoots, I want to say it's a pike. That has been roasted by the fan community. Excessive, too much style. Who are we talking? What are we doing here? Let me start with sports. You ever played playground basketball? You never seen somebody do a 360 layup for no reason? Look, sometimes folks that don't get noticed shine harder, and I think that Scad is a great character in the book of Boba Fett. I think that whole synth culture is a great addition. I'll get deeper into the moped gang later. But yeah, cheers to SCAD and the 360 spin. Had to do it twice. Cheers, SCAD. Yeah, and I think that in the next two, I'll talk about other moments that that work. But let's not make our guest wait any longer. This is a good dude, Tay Whiskey on Twitter. You know him from the Pixels. You know him from just being a great community guy to the Joe community and Star Wars General 80s, which I'm sure we'll chop up. But let's get to that. Hey, here's the transitions, demolition transitions. How you doing, my man?
Nice.
Hey,
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, CUjO. Appreciate you.
It's wild out here, isn't it? You're on the West Coast. I'm in the Mountain Time Zone. There's no dull moments, as you know. Catch us up. How are you doing? Yeah, let's start there.
Doing well, yeah, man. You know, love doing pixel artwork. Trying to watch as much stuff as I can. Keep connected to the community, and you know, I think like a lot of us, it's a struggle between the doom scrolling, the consumption of social media, and then producing. And so,
Yeah.
you know, trying a life on top of the art, but try my best to be involved always.
That's well said. The modern times, there's no layers. It's interesting when you enjoy fiction and the creators get louder than the fiction. I believe that's the era we're in. So we're kind of seeing the characters as avatars, you know? And honestly, like for all the dissension or praise, I really think that Boba Fett snuck through the arc with maybe the best arc in Star Wars. That's probably fodder for another time. But I know you've got you're. Pardon me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just because I'm glitching. I went off camera there. I hope that's helping. Can you hear me?
I can, and feel free to put that beautiful pixel face of yours on that avatar. But
cool. I'll work on that. Let me get on that. But yeah, you know, that's an interesting take. I know we're Boba Fett talking, but I'll give my shout out to the Acolyte. I know that's a show that's got a lot of hate, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. I think it had some of the best lightsaber Jedi work I've seen in any Star Wars. So some highlights of the whole franchise. But yeah, that Boba Fett arc, that's interesting.
Well, I missed that series, but I did notice on your timeline you appreciate classic as well as modern. Do you pick and choose, or do you just kind of watch whatever comes out when it comes to Star Wars?
I kind of watch most of what comes out. I've never gotten into the animated side of things. I've always been more live action. But you know, definitely my affinity is for the classics. I grew up in that era, so I was born in '77, so I never knew a world without Star Wars. But you know, my early childhood was Star Wars was the biggest thing, and so that kind of made me that lifelong fan.
Yeah, I noticed. I was wondering when I saw your email address, it had a 77, and I'm like, this cat is 1 year younger than I am. So cheers. Yeah, no, we grew up with the same saturation and the same action figures and probably fiction found us at a similar time. But no, cheers to still enjoying the brand. And honestly, like I couldn't be less interested picking apart why people write the stories they do. I can appreciate a lot of perspectives. And I think that, you know, Star Wars, I heard somebody say on the timeline that Star Wars is an unserious brand. I disagree. You may not like the stories. There you go. That's a good look, my man. You may not like the stories, but it's relevant and it's true, and we can chop that up another time. As a pixel artist, I have to imagine you came up gaming. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Started on the Atari 2600 and playing in the arcades, and then NES was a big one, and then like the 16-bit era, definitely is huge, and then through PlayStation, Nintendo 64. I kind of like, I think I hit, just because the way life goes, I kind of fell off gaming about 10 years ago. Once I started having a family, less time, but still try to get into it. But I think that pixel art, just that aesthetic of that time, just made a huge imprint on me as a kid.
Well, let me put you on the spot. Why is pixel art the highest form of art in our time? Your opinion?
That's a bold claim, but I think especially when things are getting so where the graphics are getting so good, where I know there's still that uncanny valley between what's possible with graphics and what reality is. Pixel art is kind of like, it feels to me like somewhere in between modern art, like cubism. There's like a real, as opposed to things that maybe aspire to photorealism, there's a real interpretation by the artist. There's a real, I think there's the observer, the person who looks at it, plays an essential role. It's not photorealism. So I think it engages the imagination in ways, and I just know when I'm making it sometimes that you step back from it, you squint, you look at it, you say, does this make that suggestion of what I'm making a suggestion, rather than just absolute representation. So I do feel like it's got some parallels to it.
No, honestly, that's well said, and I'm liking this conversational journey with Fett appreciators, because honestly, I've never run into folks who can express themselves as sharply, astutely. But I concur, and I would say it similarly, that when you see pixel art, it's like impressionism for the digital age. And I think I'm just going to be repeating you if I do that. But no, what about Fett? And once again, push back, please. Why is Fett the best designed character in fiction? And if not, who's some other ones?
Let me take a step back and just to your last point, because I think it's important to jog my memory. I don't know if you're familiar with Seurat, was a French impressionist. He's the guy who did pointillism. If you've seen Ferris Bueller, which I assume you have, given your age, there's that scene where they're like zooming in on all those little dots, right? Mm-hmm. And there's like I think a parallel between that and pixel art, right? And also the timelessness of pixel art. John, I do a piece that go by this mosaic, and I always think that goes back to the Roman times, Greek times. This idea of taking little pieces and making a whole out of these little pieces. I think that's a compelling part of it for me, and I think that connection to impressionism. I like the way you said that, like impressionism for the modern time.
Hey, so good company inspires good words. Chatting with Tay Whiskey, obviously on X. I just dropped that. Feel free to cruise his timeline. He does various genres. We'll just look at Star Wars tonight because, hey, it's CUjO Fett. But yeah, enjoy that timeline. And we'll step into your gallery in a minute. Give me a couple, when you think good pixel aesthetic, and it's my choice of aesthetic too. If you see my timeline, it should be obvious. Mm-hmm. But what's some games when you look at like, oh, the environment hit or the cinematic hit? In the pixel era, we're talking Nintendo, Sega, of course, Super Nintendo in that era. What do you recall just offhand?
Big games. Sorry, for a second, but you specifically to Star Wars or?
No, not it doesn't not
just
just Star Wars, but like NES. Like to me, Ninja Gaiden always jumps out. The cinematics, the kind of environment it created. But what's a couple that jump out to you?
Yeah, I think Ninja Gaiden for sure, man. That I remember the first time in that. You probably know that there's that level where you're climbing up the wall in like a jungle wall. And the first time I saw that, I said, man, that hit me. Like I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I remember too, Double Dribble. I don't know if you all remember Double Dribble was that basketball game that if you had the right dunk, if you timed it right or whatever they did, you'd get these insane graphics that just stunned me as a kid.
No, I've missed that.
Yeah, that was good. But man, when I think of Star Wars games, and I know it's stretching a little past the 8-bit era, but the 16-bit era, the Super Star Wars games were unbelievable. First time I saw my cousin had it. I was at my cousin's place and he had Super Stars. I couldn't believe that we were finally seeing Star Wars with graphics like that. Yeah, I see that on the screen. That to me was just a huge step forward in Star Wars. And so I just, and that's exciting too. And you talk about like Book of Boba Fett, and I know how you couldn't have that without The Mandalorian. And I remember seeing one of the earlier episodes of Mandalorian when it was kind of those off-world Jawas. I was like, man, this is Super Star Wars. This is a level. This is a callback to that. So seeing some of the evidence that the folks making the shows played those same games, that's huge.
No, I guess I would ask you, we're almost ready to step into Tay Whiskey's Pixel Art Gallery, but I know that being a fan of the Book of Boba Fett, what did you enjoy about it? Did you enjoy seeing the full arc of dude gets stripped of his armor, of his identity, has to rebuild himself? Like what resonates for you?
Yeah, I really like this show, and I think what I think if I can drop a dose of criticism in there, what I would like to see more of was the journey with the Tusken Raiders, because to me that was some of the most powerful stuff, with him kind of getting in touch with them as a people. And I felt like that remained a motivation for him, but I was hoping to see more of that. But that idea that there was that kind of code of honor, the code of the warrior or whatever he was getting into with them, I thought it was really cool. I'll confess though, and this is probably going back to being a little old school, I felt like they kind of sanded down the edges on Boba Fett a little bit, made him a little bit too nice, and I would have liked to see him, kind of that man of mystery, maybe taking a little less abuse from some of the others in that show. Not that he didn't get his comeuppance at the end and have plenty badass moments, but it was an interesting show. But I think with anything, maybe a Star Wars kind of generally, and what my take, coming at it so hard from my youth, some of it's like decades of thinking, what is that story? And then when you see what, somebody say, well, okay, this is the actual story, you go, wait, I kind of thought it might be this, or I kind of thought it might be that.
I honestly, I like Boba Fett's arc. I'm okay with the gaps in time. The one thing I would say, if you're holding out like a card, if you're holding on to one story, do the Shadows of the Empire story. Do that justice, and you'll have eternal Star Wars love. Because, I mean, that was Fett in his prime, talking to Carbonite Solo. That stuff works. It works. And honestly, like Tamura Morrison, I didn't love it that Fett took his helmet off, but the actor grew on me.
Well, that's kind of one thing too, that is such an interesting contract where the kind of code of never taking off the helmet, that he kind of walk into a bar and like, hey, we have a helmet cleaning service. That was a little odd to me. Yeah. And I thought It is the guy who's kind of, and I know you had another question, design of the character, so iconic. And I felt like the way he carried himself with that look in the original films, that didn't seem like the sort of guy to take his helmet off and hand it over to someone. It was a tactical piece. It wasn't just a
Real ones
well,
now.
it just wasn't
Real ones now.
you know.
Yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate that you can appreciate a full arc. I feel like people that are not Fett fans now are the same people that don't like it when you grow personally. They're like, "Oh, you don't have that bad habit anymore?" Oh, no. I mean, hey, I'm here for Boba Fett's self-improvement. But you know what? Let's enter your art gallery, shall we?
Cool.
As a fan of the Book of Boba Fett, we just chatted it up. Tell me about his squad here. I had to squeeze him in the frame. Who was your favorite character that helped him out in his book?
I'm a real big fan of Fennec Shand. I just think she's a very cool character. I think that Ming-Na Wen's an awesome actor, and just seeing how that was somebody that started off as a foe of the Mandalorian and then became involved with Boba Fett. I thought she was cool. She had, and I think I liked in that story that they let her kind of maintain a little bit of that ruthless edge that they, like I alluded to earlier, they sanded off a bit maybe from Boba, but I liked her as a character. The name of the Wookiee's escaping me right now, but
Black Cinnamon or something. I agree. I don't recall.
But yeah, I really dig all those. You know.
No, I completely agree about Ming-Na Wen. I love that as Boba Fett's companion. Great choice. Here's a question. If you could take a vacation to anywhere in the Star Wars universe, where would you go, Tay?
Yeah. Well, if Andor, that one little resort town he goes to, or resort planet, pretty awesome. But yeah, I think classically, I think the aesthetics of Cloud City always just seemed like a cool place.
Hey.
I love the design.
Well done.
Yeah, I love the design of that. I'm a big fan of Art Deco architecture, and there was just something optimistic about it, even though it kind of comes at the darkest, or next to the darkest part of the trilogy. There was just something about it that it seems like, man, if you got, you wouldn't want to go there when stuff was going down, but if you were there on a good day, it seemed like Cloud City would be the place to be.
Well, hey, I love this artwork you did of the skyline. You do get the flavors, that kind of like sherbet aesthetic. Of course, Lobot has way more backstory than he deserves. But Lando is what a great city, what a great scenario. Of course, Boba Fett probably at the top of his game in that situation.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, we have one power couple in Star Wars left. It would not be a CUjO Fett if we didn't talk, of course, Lizzo and Jack Black. Tell me why you were inspired to create this and why the characters make sense for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think Star Wars, I mean, it's a galaxy, right? So it's big enough to have all kinds of stuff. And I like that the shows have explored that side a little bit. I'm not quite sure, again, the hate there. I guess some folks want it to be all serious all the time.
I've never heard any of that.
I just, man, I like Jack Black as an actor. I like Lizzo as an artist. Has seen her live and think she's got a lot of positivity.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because here's a little CUjO Fett Lizzo insight. I went to a music festival in Long Beach, did not know who was going to be there. Turns out Lizzo, before she hit, was on stage. Does she deserve to be in Star Wars? Yes. The things she did on stage, I'm an athlete. I can't pull that off. She did. She was hopping around, doing all sorts of things. You're just like, this person turns up. How do you hate? How do you hate? She's one of the best. But anyway, no, I liked this because it shows that you do it for the love. You do it for the passion. I can respect that. Of course, I'm a Jack Black fan too. Who isn't? Who isn't? Lucho Libre. Come on now.
Yeah, that is it's classic. Yeah, I think it really comes as I get the inspiration. I wish I had the time to do it full time and do it all the time. But watching the shows and you see something in it that's really cool, and I feel like I wind up making not even half of the ones I feel like getting time to make. But yeah, that one hit me. I think the character designs were great, and there was I like that. That's one thing I liked about the Mandalorian show. It's got an arc, but it's also episodic. It's kind of somewhere in between something where it's really you got to see every episode in like a Star Trek kind of thing. There's maybe an overarching quest in the background, but he gets on, almost feels like a video game. He goes on a lot of side quests, and I enjoy the side quests.
It's true. It's true. I've watched it, and look, I can split hairs all day. We all can. We're all steeped in the lore. It can be suffocating at times. I just enjoy the people's takes. If it's not for me, hey, it's much like the rest of the world. But no, of course, all things Fett and Star Wars, the canvas for chat. To wrap this up, and I appreciate, Tay, you making time. I think I hit you up like 24 hours ago because we were just talking.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
You're right, too. But please thank your family for me for loaning you out. Boba Fett had a book. We all know. He's been everywhere. He's been buried. He's been consumed. He's been naked and afraid in the desert. Of course, there's a book of Tay whiskey. What chapter are you in? Be vague. Be elaborative. Where are you?
I'm maybe in the chapters right now. Young enough to still be middle enough to have an eye on retirement. Sometime in the on the horizon. So I love getting into looking back wistfully sometimes on the with nostalgia to the 80s and that time where everybody was always talking about the same thing. That's maybe one of the reasons to dig into like the community and what social media offers, because I know in the offline world, it's not always easy to find somebody who's seen the show you've seen or at the time you've seen it. So I like that we can connect like that today. But I'll say this, one other thing I've been doing that's fun is I got a friend who he's kind of the program director at a movie theater, and he does a lot of classic films that he brings in. So being able to see some of the classics on the big screen that either I saw back when I was a kid or I just saw many times on VHS but never saw. I saw Alien recently, going to see The Thing pretty soon. Seen some of these classic movies. That's always fun to kind of bring up.
Well, let me stop you right there, because when you mentioned The Thing, that's probably my most watched movie of all time. That's another conversation. And once you watch that, let's chat it up.
Yeah, sounds good.
But no, I was thinking something while you were talking, and I may have lost it because you mentioned The Thing. But no, I think that there's a certain time, and maybe you're 77, I'm 76. You get to a stage where you start appreciating more and hating less. It's like an appreciation for the achievements that were made, I guess. But no, I can relate to that. You look around and it's easy to be a troll. Phew, man, we all have gas. We all do. But I was like, you know what? I want to talk about Fett. One of the best designed characters, a character who has a complete arc. You may not like it, but it's complete.
I hope more. To be honest, I love it if they keep it going.
And hey, however glitchy the final product is, it's the time spent. I appreciate good company. I appreciate pixel artist Tay Whiskey. Please check him out. I would bring up his banner, and I will, but thank you, Tay, for being free tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate your time, man, and keep up the good work. Love to hear more about Fett.
Let's do this. You know, of all the Boba Fett cinematics, and Tay, please hang out. Let's chat it up in a few minutes. The Boba Fett laying down, getting a drink, it might be the most unflattering. I'm on the fence. But yeah, getting to near the end of CUjO Fett number 4. I'm doing this live stream as kind of a fan journal, so folks can discover as we go. If I'm rusty, let it inspire you. I'm not trying. Fett has dents on his armor. He's not trying to hide that. You feel me? But CUjO Fett is here for you. If you're Matt Berry, if you're Ming Na Wen, if you're some cat on my timeline that just wants to talk some Fett, I'll turn up as long as people want to talk. I love chatting, you know who. But it's always a pleasure. And the 4 folks that are in here, or the 400, I appreciate you folks. And if I don't get to the comments, there's a lot of spinning plates, but I will find you. And hit me up. Let's chat with some Fett. Doesn't matter who you are. Let's do it.